Great topic. I've never taken my fountain pens out of the house, but I've been reading comments for good everyday carry brands such as the Safari, Metropolitan, TWSBI Mini. I'd like my next fountain pen, from Goulet of course, thanks, to be purse friendly as well as travel friendly, so would appreciate advice about brands and models out there. I've also read that fountain pens should always be carried empty on flights. Is that still true? Well, the only way to completely prevent a pen from leaking on a flight is to have no ink in it whatsoever. So I would say if you want to absolutely make sure that that's going to happen, go for it. However, the last time that I flew, I literally wanted to get a leak. So I took several different types of pens and I oriented them in all different ways. I didn't do anything special with them. I wanted to try to get a leak and I didn't. So it's not guaranteed that your pen is going to leak everywhere. So if you just take some simple precautions, you're probably not going to have a problem. I think that if you are really paranoid and not paranoid, that's got a bad connotation, sorry. If you're really concerned about having your pen leak, because I don't think anybody really wants a pen to leak. If you're really concerned about it, then go ahead and empty out the pen. If you're not as concerned about it, fill the pen up all the way so that there's as little air as possible inside the ink chamber. Keep the nib pointed up, and you're probably going to be just fine. If you really don't care, throw it in there, do whatever you want, and you'll still probably be just fine. If there's a little bit of a leak, you can stick the thing in a Ziploc bag, and then you really don't have to sweat it. You might have to wash off the pen a little bit if it does get a leak, but then you're fine. So don't go too nuts. Don't concern yourself, all kinds of crazy ways. I even had people email that said, they were considering leaving their pens at home because they were so worried about a leak or whatever. That's a shame. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go to that extreme. But you also asked me about like purse friendly, travel friendly. I would say, with the whole purse thing, try to get it so you can get the nib pointing up. That will help you immensely. But at a minimum, go ahead and get like a pen sleeve or something like the pen slip or something that you can keep the pen in. If it's a pen that could get scratched or anything like that. If you got something like a Metropolitan or even a Safari, probably really don't have to sweat it very much. I really don't hear about Safaris ever having a leaking problem. Most cartridge converter pens, you're not going to have a problem with leaking. They seal pretty well, especially because when you're dealing with a cartridge converter pen, and let me see if I have one here on me to show you, and I don't, but if you have a cartridge converter pen, here's one. As opposed to a piston filler or vacuum filler or something like that, getting thirsty. Your ink is going to be inside of your converter or your ink cartridge, and then you're going to have the body that surrounds it. So you've actually got kind of this cushion of air that's going to be surrounding the body of ink that's inside the pen. So it's going to kind of act as a little bit of an insulator right there. So just that in and of itself means you're going to have much less likelihood of leaking from a cartridge converter pen. And you've also got a less significant volume of ink that you can store in these things because they just don't hold as much as a piston or a vacuum filler. So if the thing has got, halfway of ink and a little bit of air, that amount of air is probably not going to cause you too much trouble. It's not like if you have this much ink inside the whole body and you've got this much air in the body of the pen, like an eyedropper converted pen. That's a whole different story about the potential for leaking. But in a cartridge converter, I wouldn't even really sweat it all that much.